Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another Thursday episode of Improv Gaming. Today, we're talking about Mario Kart VR. I don't know if you know this, Pete.
Tell me.
But in Japan, they're unveiling a Mario Kart VR. It's got the whole works. It's got a seat that you can sit in, driving seat, and it's like it rumbles, and you got a VR headset, earphones. You got the hand guided motion control, so you can grab all your little pickups and you can actually physically throw them. It's really teaching you how to drive with only one hand, which is not the right way to drive, ladies and gentlemen. Drive safely. As you know, I got into an accident about 3 weeks ago, sir. So I'm just trying to put that PSA out there, letting people know to drive safely. What are your thoughts, Pete? Mario Kart VR.
As I live and breathe.
As he lives and breathes.
I'm very excited. It looks awesome. If you guys haven't checked it out, definitely look it up. It's cool because they get rid of the boxes for balloons. So you have to reach up, grab your item, and you actually throw the shell or you throw the banana. Mm-hmm. Much more narrower. Much smaller the courses, so it's not...
Not smaller. The roads are narrow.
Thank you. I couldn't say narrow. There you go.
You can't say narrower.
Now or
no. It's not a grammatically correct word. That's why. It's more narrow.
More narrow. But it looks cool. I'm very excited. Also, Bandai Namco is working on it.
Yes,
which they've done the other ones that you may have seen in like a Dave and Buster's.
Okay,
they work on those too. So VR. So hopefully, maybe we'll see it stateside. Well, right now, it's just in Japan. Here
are my thoughts on Bandai Namco. Kind of taking the helm here. Bandai Namco has a very close relationship with Nintendo. So when you see that they're putting this much resource into creating a VR environment for a traditionally Nintendo trademark or IP, do you see this as a more investment from Namco Bandai to kind of support the Switch in a stronger way than they've supported anything else? Because this is a lot of resources that you're putting in here. There's a lot of, this is a huge investment. You're making a machine with hydraulic systems in it in order for it to kind of operate like a VR system. And it seems like they're doing a little more, because as we saw when we were kind of researching this, there were some more things that are tied to this little VR experience besides just Mario Kart. There's some other games. I can't give you the names of the games because I couldn't tell what the hell they were. But there are more peripherals associated with this. Something where you pedal and it helps you flap wings on a pedaling flyer, a hang glider kind of thing. So many more resources. So it seems like they're gonna use this as an entry point to VR. But they're coming with like games at like arcades. Now, while arcades kind of have died out in terms of the experiences that we did as a kid, it's become more adult. Like we go to a VR place and it's like a bar that has these machines. But it's not the same demographic that it was years ago, where you would go to the arcade while your parents were at the mall and you would play games at the arcade, so that then you didn't have to be bored out by them going to fucking Macy's and shit like that. So I guess the question I'm posing is, do you see this as a stronger support or a stronger third-party support for Nintendo Switch?
Yeah, I could see it helping out Nintendo Switch. Depending on how this does, Nintendo might be more inclined to actually put forward plans for VR. And I think this is a good step. Bandai Namco, like we said, work with them very well. They have some good games with them. Mm-hmm. Maybe Tekken 7 can come to Switch. That would be fantastic. I would be very totes excited about that.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
No, it's never going to happen.
But it also brings the idea of, if Nintendo's up for VR, what will Nintendo experience? What would you want to see VR for Nintendo, know? Because Mario Kart looks awesome. I don't know what you thought about it. I think it looks cool. I can get behind that. But then going to think, it's like, if Nintendo does this right and works with other parties, because, Bandai Namco also helps out with Smash Brothers. Like, I'm not saying for a Smash Brothers VR experience, but they could do something like Star Fox, or I would love to see Metroid, just even like an experience of. I'm not saying have the whole game, but like a Batman Arkham, like a Batman VR game where you're doing little things, but it's more of the experience. Okay, I'm gonna put Samus's helmet on. Okay, I'm gonna go in like even if Mario Kart VR is just like a couple of tracks or something like that, and then they bring you a new game, that's still perfect. It's experience. It's like, hey, if you like the VR, go for it. If not, same thing with Battlefront, what EA did. They had the X-Wing mission. Hey, if you have a VR headset, go to town. If not, the rest of the game's here.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Nintendo could really capitalize on this, and so can Bandai Namco, because if they use it both to their strength, I mean, you can even see, even a Smash Brothers not be a part of it, but maybe be up close, and actually feel like you're on the stage. And when Fox comes over with a punch and kick, you're just like, oh shit, and then you turn and he gets booted away. Like certain things like that, I think I think this could forward Nintendo and Namco into even better things.
I'm not too worried about Namco, right? Namco seems to be in a particularly good standing. They own every fucking piece of hardware that's in any arcade across the globe, it seems like. My concern is really just about Nintendo Switch. Like, they're not licensing this out just so that then, oh, yeah, people can play Mario Kart at the arcade. Like, we can already play Mario Kart at the arcade. That's not what it is, right? There's got to be something else to it besides that. That's why I'm kind of posing the question. And like you said, I agree. If this does well, then we might see more emphasis on Nintendo's part behind a headset that is compatible with the Switch screen. If it doesn't do well, then we might not. I don't know. I don't know how it's going to work, to be honest. Especially with the kind of resolution that the Switch screen puts out. I don't know how well it's going to be received. But it does open up that kind of line of questioning, right? Like, all right, is Nintendo actually thinking about this now, or what's going on? I mean, a lot of people say that Nintendo's display at E3 was one of the stronger displays at E3, but it's easy to look like gold when you're sitting in a pile of shit, as far as I'm concerned. And I'm not saying that E3 was shit. I'm just saying compared to what we've seen before, E3 was not phenomenal. So for Nintendo to shine during that time, the bar was really lowered for them. Yeah. It was easy to shine when everybody was kind of just like, I don't know what the fuck to bring to E3. Everybody was like, I don't know what to talk about. And EA
PlayStation brought Spider-Man. That's what they brought.
EA was arguably the best conference in the sense that they brought very new IPs that people were not expecting. So, and out of everybody there, like, we expected everything that was there. And I'm not saying that we predicted it in our predictions, but for the most part, nothing surprised us this E3. Nothing.
My love for Spider-Man surprised me. That I love it even more.
Yeah, I don't understand. All right, Spider Knight, and
did you like Homecoming?
We'll get into that some other time.
But no, like I said, I definitely think this is a cool thing for Nintendo to explore because, like I said, depending on the popularity of this machine, it could say for Nintendo, we like, maybe this isn't a bad idea. Because you have your quarrels where you think they're actually looking into VR.
I know for a fact that they're looking into VR. They've already opened up the patents. They opened up the patents when they put down the patents for the Nintendo Switch. One of the peripherals was a headset. The question is whether or not they're going to build it and put it out here in the market. That's the question. They already have the patent open.
I don't think they will. But it will depend, I think, on Mario Kart. Because, yeah, it's in a Japanese audience, but Nintendo thrives in Japan. So if they take to it very well, and it's like, damn, and then people flock to play it, it might be something where they're like, you know what, this might be a look into, we don't have to exactly, like I said, make Mario Kart, make Smash, but something to experience, see if people will be more on the bandwagon with it.
I think they've already looked into it, right? They've already. Here's the point that I'm making. For a long time since the VR headsets have been released, people have been saying VR is dead, VR is dead, VR is dead, and that might not necessarily be the case. It might be that everybody was waiting for the Switch, because VR sales seem to be on the rise now that the Switch is out. They seem to be going up, especially now that more availability has
I
been less
see
of a factor.
PlayStation VRs all the time.
Yeah, now VR headsets for the PlayStation are available all the time. So that was one of the biggest points of contention, was that we couldn't find them anywhere. Now you can find them, and people are buying them. And that begs the question as to whether or not VR actually died or not. It doesn't seem like it did. So Nintendo was already looking at it. They were like, well, the moment that and Nintendo's a smart company, I think. I think they're a very smart company. They had some missteps, but I think that they're a very smart company in that one of the analysis has probably revealed to them, hey, the moment that we release this Switch, there's probably going to be a boom in VR headsets. And we're going to need to look at that as our next technology. And even in building the Switch, they were like, yeah, well, it is just a screen with controllers attached to it. We could attach it to something else. And that's one of the reasons why I feel like the Nintendo Switch would be the easiest entry point into VR, is if they released a headset that just attached to your face and you put the Switch in. I always go up because that's the only way it's going to click, Pete, is if it goes up. If you're shaking this way, that dock isn't holding it in place. It has to click on the sides, and then you can just take a dongle and plug it in. I think that's the best way to do it.
I think to put the Switch into a similar to, like, not a dock, but a home station.
It's a screen, Pete. Why would you have people buy another screen? It is just a screen.
Yeah, all right.
Connect the screen to your face, and you've got a VR headset.
We'll see.
That's all it is. It's a screen.
We'll see.
There's already makers out there that have already built headsets for the Nintendo Switch. And they go onto YouTube and they look at the 3D videos that are on YouTube and they use that as the point. They've already built headsets that work for the Nintendo Switch. And I'm not talking about just big companies. I'm talking about people in the garage building headsets that'll just hold the Switch, and then you can hack the browser and watch the YouTube videos, and it works. It's a screen. It's right there in your face.
Thank you, Nick.
There's no reason for them to go, hey, I know you have a screen. That's going to cause serious backlash, right? It's going to drive up the price of the headset, and you already have a fucking screen that's detachable from everything. Nintendo's smart. They're not going to just put another screen in your lap. What they will do is make that headset act as a home base, so that then you'll upscale. So that then you'll turn the heads. The processor inside the Switch will acknowledge it as being in home mode and maybe display at a higher resolution. I don't know if that's capable or not. I don't know what the screen's resolution functionality is, if it's down-resed while it's on the screen, or whether or not the screen is actually capable of a full 1080p. I have no idea. But that's probably the best way to do it, I would say. But I mean, the question to me isn't whether or not Nintendo is considering it. They've already considered it. That's why it's in the patent filings. They've already planned for it. So, and everything about the Switch is motion, and everything about the Switch is just it works for VR. So to me, it's designed entirely to be modular and to connect to some kind of a VR system. The question is whether or not Nintendo does it. And I think that this is a clear sign. To me, I think this is a clear sign that Nintendo is approaching it cautiously. Let somebody else take the flack for it, right? Namco, why do I keep on doing it? Bandai Namco keeps on, or can process this, and we can get our name out there through the weight of their shoulder, through the strength of their shoulders, and let's see what happens with it. And then we'll find out.
See how people gravitate.
Yeah, see how people gravitate towards it. But I don't think that if that fails, I don't think that that's going to mean, we're not building those headsets anymore. I doubt that entirely.
Do you think that Mario Kart that's over in Japan could do it, though, for them?
I'm not sure. It's such a small demographic as opposed to the rest of the world, right? If you want to compete with the big boys, you got to compete with the rest of the world. The only reason Nintendo is such a big player in Japan is because of how small and easy it was to travel with all your other handheld devices, right? The PS Vita was tiny, so it was successful in Japan. The DS was tiny. That's why it's successful in Japan. The Switch is not tiny. The Switch is a big fucking hunk of metal. What's the success rate in Japan right now? I don't know.
Good talk.
Yeah, I think so. Let us know what you think in the comments below. As always, I'm joined by the host with the most, Mr. I'm Wondering himself, without the Kangol cap in tow. He forgot. It's Mr. Peter Anderson, ladies and gentlemen.
As I live and breathe.
As he lives and breathes.
I'm always joined with the best ponytail in the business.
It's fabulous.
He has a tattoo of it. Oh, nope. You know...
What?
It's Mr. Nicholas De Jesus.
How's it going tonight, ladies and gentlemen? We are Improv Gaming. We come to you every Tuesday and Thursday with little chunks of information. And then we come to you Sundays live at 6 p.m. with top news stories, story of the topic of the show.
Which they should check out last week's. It's all about Splatoon 2. Should you buy it? That's what we're going to name it. Should you buy Splatoon 2?
Gonna, or that we have named it?
You'll never know.
And you see, you interrupted my flow. Releases and yesteryear releases of the week and games that were released
Yesteryear.
Yesteryear. We're still working on the title. If you like what you saw, hit that like button. If you want to see more, hit that subscribe button. And as always, ladies and gentlemen,
share your beautiful friends with our beautiful friends.
Game on.